Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Pink Print Podcast. Today, we are sitting down with Ale Cruz, founder of NOSOTRAS and also a yoga instructor. We're going to get into Ale's journey into health and wellness and how she's built this amazing community of women. Hey, girl.
Hey.
I'm so happy to be here again.
We're so happy to have you.
Well, I guess not again because I haven't been on the podcast, but like we've been in this like trifecta moment before.
Yes,
we
and,
have.
like, we had so much fun.
This
We
energy.
have.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
So let's just dive right in.
Yes.
We kind of want to start with your journey into the health and wellness space. And I guess that started with yoga.
Yeah, so it did. I honestly, no, it started before that.
Okay.
I wouldn't say like health and wellness started before that, but when I was in high school, I went to Beach High. I grew up on Miami Beach, and I came across a book called Creativity by Osho. I don't know if you guys know Osho. He's like a big guru from the 70s.
Okay, love.
And I was very much in that space of my life, and I started reading his book, and it was my intro to spirituality, and I found myself in my backyard in lotus pose, like astral projecting at like 16. And I thought this was normal. Like I'd go to bed at night, I'd be like, all right, like gonna go off to like another time space reality, literally.
Oh my God.
And I just took like a fish to water in this very cosmic realm. It felt very natural to me. I was like, this is how I can move through life. This is how I'm going to navigate like my teenage years and like the madness of growing up on Miami Beach and the madness of trying to figure out like where to go to school, XYZ. So that's when spirituality really started for me, and meditation. Then I went to college in Europe and like at
You did? I didn't even know that.
I went to FSU, but I did my first year abroad, went to London for the summer, and then got back to Tallahassee and said, what am I doing here? Like, this is not my cup of tea, literally. And then I decided to go back to Europe. I went to the Netherlands, and then I
Wow.
lived in London again. So,
Oh, wow. I
and
didn't
then
even
I
know
went and graduated from FSU, but
Right.
it didn't feel like I wasn't really there. I
Mhm.
just like got my degree from there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I backtrack for a second?
yeah.
What is astral projecting?
So it's said that our souls can our spirits can disconnect from our bodies. And astral projecting is a practice of like almost doing it on purpose, where you can go to it's called the astral plane. I wouldn't say I do that anymore. I
Mhm.
kind of like freaked myself out because it said you have like a silver cord that comes out of your belly button,
Mhm.
and you can use the cord to like kind of lift yourself up and out and like go to other realities. But then one day I was meditating and in this state, and I like looked down and I saw my body, and I was like, this is freaking me out. And I just like
What?
went back into my body, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. Like
Wait.
it just felt like a little weird. So I was like, not anymore.
No.
It felt weird to you, but you were like inclined to start practicing.
Well, it just happened. Like it just
Right.
felt natural. Like before I went to bed at night, I'd be like, all right, like let me, and you kind of feel like it's like you're in a dream world.
Well, you know
But
when you go
you're
to sleep,
awake.
your soul does leave your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my witch from the Coconut Grove Farmers Market like makes me sleep with a black tourmaline in my bed, because she's like, you astral travel when you sleep. So like you need to protect your
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
we don't
Oh,
I
don't
have to
write it.
bring this up. Like now we're just really chatting away, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to bring it up because
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
so wild. I didn't know that our souls leave our body when we sleep, but last night I had this happens sometimes, really not all the time, but I had the
Mhm.
craziest, like most vivid dream. And for those that don't know, my mom passed away. And last night I had a dream that like I was having a sleepover with my mom, and I was like
Oh my
tracking her, and
God.
she was like flying back from Europe or something. And I was like, oh, can I come over? Like, I really want to have a sleepover. She's like, yes, almost home, whatever. And I'm like, perfect. I was tracking you anyway. And like, I went to her house, and like, I just remember waking up being like, was that real? Like, okay, obviously it wasn't
Wow.
real, but it was so real. Like we were having a sleepover, like sleeping in like my childhood, like the bed that like we had in our house my whole life. Like so weird. So I feel
Wow.
like, did my soul go to heaven or something?
Well,
yeah, or she came here.
Wow.
Kabbalistically, if you talk to a Kabbalah teacher, they say that your soul does leave when you're sleeping,
Mhm.
and that's why it's like you're very like I don't want to say sensitive when you're sleeping, but like, yes.
Mhm.
And that's why it's like, I don't know, it's a very sacred time. They definitely talk about it more, but it does.
I'd love to
Wow.
read
Yeah.
up on that.
Because it's
Wow.
really interesting. And yeah, they can definitely elaborate on it, but it does.
People
so
listening
I want
to
to
this
say that you did meet with your mother's soul.
Wow.
Yes.
So it was
I'd
like
say
real.
so. I think you can
Yeah.
also feel the difference. Like, did you wake up feeling like almost like not super rested?
I didn't sleep for 1 minute last night.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Like you feel like you almost didn't really, like it wasn't like proper sleep. And
No.
that's kind of when I can differentiate between like a dream and like kind of navigating a different realm. And all this to say, like this is not fact, right? Like this is just intuitively how
Yeah.
I feel when these
Mhm.
experiences happen to me. But yes, like I'll have dreams and I'll be like, okay, that was existence, and like that was a dream, you know? So and we know, like we know.
That is
Yeah.
so, I swear, like I literally told my boyfriend when I woke up, I was like, I did not sleep like 1 minute last night, but I was having dreams, but I felt like I was awake.
Whoa.
Wow, this is so crazy. Okay, anyone tuning in, like
It's
the first
just
5 minutes,
crazy
they're gonna be like, what the
how-
fuck's going on? This
No, but it's just so
podcast?
interesting to see like how you have that dream. Like, what are the odds we're interviewing Ale
I
of
know.
all?
Well,
of
nothing's
all
a
the-
coincidence.
No, but it's not. And it's like
So
her
true.
of all people, and getting into like this kind of topic of
Yeah.
all topics, like not even 24 hours after you had that experience.
Wow.
So
I'm
it's
so
just a
lucky.
nice moment to
Cool. Thanks,
take
Ale, for
in.
being here
Oh
again.
my God.
Could have
I'm
been
so
anyone else. Could have been a
curious.
finance episode.
No.
You know what I mean? Literally.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anyways, just so
Wow.
interesting. So,
Back
okay.
to you, babe.
No, that was perfect.
Okay, so now that we know what astral projecting is,
yes, now that we've like cleared that,
we've established that was the beginning of your spirituality.
Yes.
And your spiritual
then I definitely wavered quite a bit, but I'd say traveling for me is another very spiritual experience, like in and of itself. It's almost like I don't even have to meditate, I don't have to do anything, but I feel like my soul really jumps and leaps to like new levels every time I travel. I'm also like full Sagittarius. Like I have like 4 planets in Sagittarius.
Oh, it's like it's
as
giving
Sag as
Sag.
it gets. But that to me was like, okay, scratching the itch of like my spiritual journey. When I got back, or when I graduated college, I'd say that's when it really started. I felt I needed it. Like I was living in Costa Rica for a while and I was like, what am I doing here? Turn to meditation. I was like, that's going to give me my answers. And it's a kind of a cliche, right? Like your answers are within you, but I find that becomes more and more true the older I get.
Mhm.
Like the more I look outside of myself for answers, like the more confused I'm actually going to get.
Totally.
And then the more I just like sit with myself, I'm like, oh, it's been clear all along, you know?
Yeah.
And then I came back to Miami. I went through like a kind of like tumultuous little relationship. And at the same time, you guys know Gabby Sharif.
Yes.
She was like, let's do our yoga teacher training. And I was like, done.
Oh,
Like
I love
said,
that.
done, like let's do it. And it came at the perfect time. Like I was really in like a dark place. I'd say like I had really lost touch of like, I mean, it happened for a reason. I'd say like relationships are so transformational. Like
Mhm.
there's nothing more transformational than that. But that very much like catapulted me into my next phase because I was so desperate to just like realign with myself. So I did my yoga teacher training at Ahana Yoga. It was phenomenal. I learned so much. I mean, I learned how to be a teacher, but I also learned yoga philosophy, which was my reestablishment into my meditation practice. I had a dear, dear, dear teacher, Sandy Pani, who is a devotee, a Hare Krishna, and he gave me a mantra and he was like, chant this. And I was like, okay. I chanted it for a year. Literally every single day, I would sit on my little stool at my apartment in downtown and chant. And like, it was crazy. Like, it did so much for me. Like, brought me so much peace. I would like be in the shower, and you know, when you have like crazy shower thoughts, like I remember having a thought once being like, I have never been this happy. Like, and I don't think I'll ever be this happy again. Like, it was like a blimp in time and space where like everything was just super clear.
Was it the mantra? Was it the practice?
I think it was the mantra for sure. I don't chant it anymore. I had a moment of like pivoting my practice. I'm always going to be in a spiritual practice, but I know it's always going to be different. And like, I'm insatiable. Like, I always need newness.
Sag.
Yeah, literally Sag. And so I switched to a Kundalini practice, which do you guys know about Kundalini yoga?
Please tell us.
It is craziness. I'd say it's like not for like the faint of heart or the faint of soul. Like, it will glitch your major, like it will throw you into like a different reality yet again. It's a breath work, asana. It's weird. Like, you sit there and you like repeat movements and you like breathe weird, and it's like all these coded things that like the yogis in like, I don't even know, Nepal, Tibet, like I don't know where it originated, but they came up with all of these like different combinations. They're called kriyas. And it's like a mixture of like movement, sound, and breath in like a weird mixture. And then you like do it in repetition. And the first time I did that, I was in my apartment in downtown. I stopped chanting my mantra and I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing Kundalini. That was like my next phase. And I feel like it was like almost like the next like level of like intensity. And I'd say like with these things, sometimes it's like you got to be a little careful, because now you're like playing with like untapped energy sources within yourself, within the universe. You're like opening up portals. Like it becomes a little crazy. But I did this Kundalini class, 45 minutes, with my teacher Amanda Norgard, who's Danish, and I laid there on my mat and I just felt electricity like shooting up my spine, like shooting. And that's what Kundalini is. It's life force energy, prana essentially, that's trapped in your root chakra. And when you awaken it, it like literally rushes up and fills your body. And it's said to also increase like your brain capacity, like, and tap into your subconscious mind. So it's like doing all these things. It's like expanding your aura, it's expanding your brain, it's like shooting more oxygen into your body, and you're just like high on life.
Wow.
So I did that for another year. And right now I'm like, all right, let's like go into neutral timing. Be like a human, not an alien, because it's like a lot, honestly. Like, being in that world is a lot. And I also sound insane. Like, I'm well aware.
I think that it's so interesting because I don't think everybody can tap into that within themselves. Yeah. And like, clearly from the age of 16, you've been able to like really tap into different portals and energies within your body and your soul. And it's really interesting because, I mean, when we have a lot of different healers we work with, and we always say like, how did they know they could do this? And it's kind of just like, I guess it finds you and you figure it out, but Absolutely. It seems like you just have those capabilities and that power that not everyone can access.
Yeah, I mean, my mom told me once, and she'll like remind me, she's like, when I looked in your eyes, like from the moment you were born, I looked at you and I looked at your father, and I was like, she's a very special person. Like, it was like,
oh my god, that gave me goosebumps.
It's not even tooting my own horn, but she just like, she's different. Like, there's like something in her eyes. Like, she was like, whoa. But yeah, now it's just like my reality, and I love it.
Wow, beautiful.
So what are the biggest things that you like from all of the practices and all of the different modalities, spiritual modalities that you've practiced throughout your life? Is there like a common theme? Because I think in spirituality, even almost religion, a lot of it comes from like the same base.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Of course. Yeah, definitely. I'd say that there is a higher power, and it's just like many paths, one truth. And there's so many avenues and ways that you can access this. And I always say it's about finding what resonates with you.
Absolutely.
Like for me, they were all just ways to get there. And now that same thing of like tapping into that higher power is just being with life and being very grounded and like being very present. and I'm not doing any crazy breathing exercises or like asana practice right now. I'm just like going to the gym and doing my Pilates and like sometimes I'll just take a really deep breath and I'll like be there, like access tapped in. And yeah, it's just that, like, it's your breath. It's like knowing what works for you.
Would you say that's your biggest takeaway? And what would you tell people who are very hesitant of spirituality or of any of this to dive in?
I'd say at some point in your life, it will find you. And not everybody is super inclined. And when I first started doing yoga and teaching, I was like, this is the path. Like everyone must walk the path. And it was very preachy. And now that I'm not in that phase, I'm like, damn, like that was intense. But also like my students that like wanted to walk that path found me. So
of course
it was great. But I would say, like, although the word authenticity is quite overused right now, there really is no better way to say it. Like, who are you? Like, peel back the layers and like reveal your most authentic self. Maybe it's breathing, maybe it's like practicing, maybe it's like therapy, maybe it's like a good laugh with your friends, you know? But it's like who's the essence of you, and like how can you make that shine most brightly?
I love that.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you, because I feel like a lot of people struggle with this. Maybe this is a selfish question for me, but that's why we have people on our podcast to ask whatever we want answers to. And I know you're not a meditation expert, but it seems you have practice with it. And like, what would you tell someone on how to go about meditating beginner style, and like what you think the real true benefits are from meditation?
You know, I'm gonna be honest, I don't like meditating.
That's what everyone says, right?
It's like not my thing.
That's what everyone says,
right?
Yes, 100%. I totally have an answer for you.
Okay,
so
cool.
And I think a lot of people also don't like yoga. They're like, yoga's boring. Like,
to this day, I still think it's a little boring.
Yeah.
It's just hard as
Sometimes
fuck.
I take a class and I'm like, mid-class, I'm like, I'm bored.
I can only do it like once a week.
That's a lot.
And I don't do it every week. Sometimes I'm in phases. I'll do it once a week, and then I'll be like, you know, I need a break, and then I'll do it again. But
I actually love yoga. I don't do it as often as I'd like to, but I do really love it. And I think that you don't ever like leave a yoga class and you're just like, Jesus Christ, I'm like a different human.
Yeah, you're like,
I do, and I love how I feel stretched, and I try to feel. Now when I go, I really try to be present and like feel I really go because I want to stretch. So I'm really trying to like feel every movement and breathe. But sometimes it's just hot in there. Hot yoga, and it doesn't go by so fast. But of course, I feel good after. But
it's also like the endorphins. Yeah. I also forgot like a key part of like my yoga journey when I was 16 and like doing that whole thing. I went to a yoga class at this I was living in Morningside, and I went to this random yoga studio and I did a class, and it was my first yoga class in a studio. I probably wasn't very good. Like, I just like did the thing. Like, I followed what the teacher was saying, and I walked out of there and I felt like every part of me had cracked open, and like there was like light pouring out of my body. Like, that's how I felt. And I was like, whoa, like this was crazy. Like, I didn't think I'm going to become a yoga teacher. Like, I just was like, that was insane. So that might happen for someone. Like, you never know. Just like try it out. Don't you want your body to like crack open with light? Like, that sounds like gnarly to me, you know? But like, if that's like not your jam and you're just like, okay, I want to like start. I want to do something. I really, really love breath work. And I think that it's not intimidating. You just lay there and you breathe. I think there's a misconception that to meditate and to be tapped into your spirituality, you have to just like sit there and lotus pose and like close your eyes, and like then something's gonna happen and you're gonna feel good. I do think that sitting with your thoughts and your breath and in stillness is great, and everybody should try it because it's important to learn how to slow down. But I think a fast track, I'm all about like fast track, like express lane, breath work.
And what can we do?
So there's incredible teachers. Angelica Borland, who, you know, I'm sure she actually is having a class every Tuesday night. So tonight, and she is an amazing breathwork instructor. So you can go take a class, or there is an app. I'm forgetting the name of it right now. Open, and It's an app, and they have breathwork classes, and it's amazing. Another thing, wow, that maybe this is what I'm doing lately: affirmations.
Affirmations, yeah.
I'm like, wow, this works.
What's your most
Affirmations are crazy.
life-changing affirmation?
I don't have one really.
Or the one
like,
that you really love to say that you just feel so good
I think
after
one
saying
that I
it?
really needed this year is like, I am disciplined and determined. Because I am a free bird floater. Like, I hate to like sit my butt in that seat and like get a to-do list done. But like, to run a business, you have to do that. So I'd say, yeah, like I am disciplined and determined, which for most people, maybe they need like, I am full of love and light.
Yeah.
I did that one and like, I got it. But like, that full of love and light, like didn't pay the bills. You know, and it's like, you actually have to like sometimes ground yourself and be like, all right, there's things that need to get done. And like my ADD needs to like take a back seat and I need to like get this done. So yeah, I've been doing that one. I'm disciplined and determined.
I love that you say that too, because sometimes it's like, oh, you're a spiritual yogi, this and that, but you have to manifest into this physical world somehow.
100%. Yeah.
And speaking of, please tell us a little bit about Nosotras, your
Yes.
baby, which just turned 1.
Yes. Yes.
It's this beautiful community that you've created. So please tell us a little bit about it so our listeners know.
So I started NOSOTRAS a year ago, but I'd say I really like thought of her. I say her. I feel like she's her own entity.
Yeah.
She's her own little spirit. She has her own aura and she navigates life. And I'm just her mom, essentially. Like I have a 1-year-old. And so I really thought of this whole business, this whole concept of a women's collective and supper club while living with my 2 girlfriends in downtown. One of them was a photographer, the other one fashion designer, and like our home was filled with such joy and sisterhood and cooking and listening to music. And I realized that like, yes, like we have that, right? Like you guys have that, you have each other, but there's so many girls that like don't have like sisterhood. And in Miami as well, there's a lot of competition and there's a lot of like chismeando and like all of those things, you know? And it's like, at what point did we lose track of like, we are in each other's corner and we are meant to be in each other's lives, to hold each other, to have compassion for each other, to inspire each other. And I was like, whoa, like this needs to be more present in our life. So we invited a few girlfriends over to our apartment. And this was while I was doing just after my yoga teacher certification. And I was like, I'm going to lead a women's circle. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, we're going to talk about our femininity and we're going to pass around a talking stick. We're going to drink cacao. My friend who does Reiki, Gio, she infused the cacao with Reiki. And it was amazing.
Cacao is really good. I used to drink it and it gives you like energy. There's like these different cacaos like to like relax you.
Yeah,
well,
it's
and then the
amazing.
one that gives you lots of energy. It was like more like fire.
Wait, was it Lucia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Lucia's great. Yeah.
The best.
Crazy. So she's literally the best. She's such an angel.
Yeah.
And she came over and she Reiki'd the cacao and then we sat in a circle and we just like talked. And women started crying. I just guided some prompts. I was like, what does your femininity mean to you? How do you relate to your femininity? And there was just an outpouring of like feeling seen and heard and held. And I was like, I need to do this. Like, I need to create this space more often. So Nosotras didn't even have a name yet. I was just like, this is what's happening and I need to do this more often. So I did it a few times and then I got this incredible opportunity to move into a house, which you went to. You went to the launch dinner,
I did.
actually, which was crazy. And it was so beautiful because I got this space where I could hold space. And I had another thought to create a supper club. And I was like, where did that come from? Like, I don't cook. Now I cook because I've been in this world for a year. But like, I had this thought. I was like, I need to incorporate food because as women, we're always nurturing and nourishing everybody else. Like, that's just like, you guys both have Cancer in your chart.
Yeah,
we do.
Like, we're always nurturing and nourishing the people around us. But like, what about us? Like, who's going to hold space for us and make us feel cozy and fed and warm and like give us tea and cake and nourishing food and all these things. The chef would be like, I have an Ayurvedic chef, you'd be like, cake, no, like that's not it. But she so I was like, okay, I don't cook, I need a chef, right? And I thought of Allison. Allison is an incredible holistic wellness, functional medicine, Ayurvedic practitioner, cook, all the things. And I called her and I was like, hey, I have this idea. Like, tell me if I'm crazy, but what would you say to do a dinner once a month around the moon cycles? So full moon or new moon, and feed women. And she was like, I can't believe you're asking me this. I've been wanting to do this.
Wow.
But I couldn't host and cook. I needed someone
She's
to
a host.
Yeah. And I was like, me, tap me in, like I'm ready. So that's how it started. It was just a mishmash of ideas and downloads. And I was like, okay, this is happening.
I have 2 follow-up questions.
Yes.
Number 1, I want to kind of go back to this idea of femininity, because we had another amazing woman on the podcast and we talked to her a little bit about this, but I think that it's so hard for us in this day and age. Like, you're an entrepreneur, we're entrepreneurs, so you're kind of tapping into your masculine energy a lot. Like, how can we reconnect with our feminine side? Like, especially when we get home, like what can we be doing? And like, what is the significance of going back to our feminine side?
Yeah. I think somewhere along the way, we lost our connection with our femininity. We were given the opportunity to work, and some people are like built for that life, but I wouldn't say like everybody's built for that life. And I think there needs to be that balance, but also like re-tapping into what it means to be feminine. And I think that word and the connotation that comes with it will be different for everybody. But there is like a softness and an unraveling that happens when you're tapped into your femininity, a creativity that comes out. I'd say one thing that absolutely differentiates the feminine from the masculine is creation, right? And I talked about this a lot when I first launched NOSOTRAS. Like, women are literal portals of creation. Like, right there at our navel point, like, we create life. And like that same energetic center, we birth ideas and we create art. And that's where our sexuality lives and all of these things that are like so liberating and fluid. And I would say femininity is the water and the masculine is the container that the water lives in, which is so beautiful and poetic. And I think like women are poetry, like we are that. And it's so fun to play with that and see what comes out when you kind of unravel into your softness. And that can mean something different for everybody. Is there something that like women can do? I think that we all have our thing. Like for me, it's like lighting candles and like really soft fabrics. That's my Taurus rising. I'm like, I just loved like having an environment with flowers and writing, and like one of my best friends gave me for my birthday a pen and quill, like a
That's
feathered
so
pen.
I
And
love that.
that is just like today I was just like drawing, and like in between work I was just drawing, and I'm like, wow, like how beautiful that I get to do this. And entrepreneurship has allowed me the opportunity to do this, because before I was like working at Accenture, and then I was working at Snapchat and the Reel, and it was like I would never have the opportunity to just like draw midday at my desk. And like that's a luxury and a privilege, and I'm aware of that. But like we can all tap into like what that thing is for us.
I also think we're just like in such a rushed society. Like something we've been working on that we've talked about is like, I know it sounds so silly and I don't really care what people have to say about it, but I'm Cuban and Sicilian, and like my family is very traditional in many senses, like especially for the women. And whenever I call my grandma, my boyfriend works very late. Like he gets home at 8:00 and then he goes to the gym and then he's back at 10:30 and that's when he eats dinner. My grandma, I call her and she's like, where's Riley, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, he's at work. And she's like, did you cook dinner for him?
My grandpa does the same thing.
And honestly, I think it's really sweet. Like, I think I should be cooking dinner for him. Like, I work very hard, obviously, but he recognizes that and he doesn't throw me to the curb. And I do have time to like light my candles, put on my cooking playlist and cook dinner. And before it used to be like, rush. I'm just cooking ground beef and rice and throwing that in a pan and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, chopping my butternut squash really slowly and like really leaning into it. And I know, again, it sounds silly, but my meal tastes 100 times better. I swear on my life.
Absolutely.
I'm like, you took your time, you can taste it, you can feel it. And I don't know. I just think that like that's something, if anyone needed a tip, that's what I've been doing. Like just literally slowing down while cooking and like actually appreciating like, where did this butternut squash come from? Like I didn't just like walk into Whole Foods, throw it in the cart and like, you know, it's like, where did this come from? Somebody like grew this from the ground and now it's like nourishing my body and my family. And so I don't know. I think that's
exactly it. Like, and that feels good for you, you know? And I never knew how to cook or like, nor did I, like, I grew up just with parents who cooked, but like they cooked to like feed us, you know, and like it was good, it was tasty, but like there wasn't a ritual around cooking, and that's something that I've really tapped into as well. Is that, and like the NOSOTRAS supper clubs, we cook all farm to table food, so we have
amazing.
It's like so special
if you can. Obviously not every day's perfect, but I think it is really important.
And like cyclical living, right? Like we as women are 28 hour, no. Men are 24-hour clock, right? They have their circadian rhythm, and women have an infradian rhythm. You know about this, right?
No, I'm like freaking out. Talk about this.
Tell us about it.
Okay.
I'm always like, we need to live on the circadian rhythm. However, I wake up before the sun rises like every day anyway.
Oh my
and
God.
I'm like, I can't
this is such a key point.
Be in the circadian rhythm because the sun's not out.
So, okay. And I think this like completely answers your question. Like, if there's one way that women can tap into themselves and their body, it's to tap into the moon. Like the sun is masculine and the moon is feminine. And we work on a 28-day clock, and that's our cycle.
Can you talk about the different phases in our cycle?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I can relate it to the moon as well, because Nosotras kind of like, the idea of the moon was to make us feel more connected to her and in turn us. We are not linear beings. Like we are cyclical beings, and we flow in this rhythmic way of highs and lows and ups and downs, like the same way the moon does. Like, you know how everyone says like there's a full moon, like the lunatics are out, like everyone's going crazy. Like that's us, like at peak ovulation, right? That's like us and then the new moon is when like it's empty and quiet, and that's when we have our bleeds. So that's one way to really tap into your femininity and your body. And so I'll explain the cycles.
And the infradian rhythm?
Yes.
Okay.
So the infradian rhythm is the 28-day clock. The circadian rhythm is the 24-hour clock, which we operate on because like we must.
Yeah.
Right. And like society operates off of that. Men operate on that 24-hour clock, and their testosterone spikes and declines. And it's the same every single day. And like our entire society.
Like must be easy.
No, I just
literally.
I laugh because there's just like, I don't want to like shit on men. I love men, but it's just
they're
funny.
incredible.
Like, it's so wild.
We need them. Like,
we need.
Absolutely. Like a little side tidbit.
Of course.
But Nosotras, like the amount of times men have like come to save the day, like most recently at our last dinner, like we ran out of ice and my dad like ran out and got ice, right?
They're
like
beautiful.
A dinner before, like we had coconuts, like fresh coconuts that came from the farms, and we couldn't open the coconuts because we were like a band of women, and we're like, how do we get these coconuts open? A friend comes over to drop something off for another friend, and we look at him, we're like, can you open these coconuts for us? And he was like, yeah, let me get my machete from the car. Like full on, dead serious. Like got his machete, opened 28 coconuts.
Oh my God.
And like we were on our way. Like we need men, we love men. And
Yeah.
like that's another thing, other side tidbit. But like while so deeply entrenched in the feminine, I was like, well, now I'm out of whack in the opposite direction. Now I'm like too feminine. And like, where'd my guy friends go? And like, what the heck is going on? Like I need the balance. And like I started intentionally hanging out with like the men in my life more and like holding space for like discipline and structure and those things, because I was just like a roaring river. Like I was just like not tapped into my masculine at all. But now there's that balance. And I'd say that like when I tapped into my 28-day clock, it completely revolutionized and changed my way of being with myself. So it technically starts when we bleed. So right when we get our period, like day 1 of our period, that would equal the new moon. So the new moon is when the moon has no light. It disappears in the sky. And that's when everybody kind of goes inward, right? There's less light. If we were like in the times of hunters and gatherers, like we would just be illuminated by the stars and there would be really no light. So same with women, like we almost must like go inward at least a little bit more during that time. And if somebody invites you out and they're like, hey, like let's go here, let's go there, and like you're on your bleed and you're tired, like, and you feel like you need to just wrap yourself in a blanket with a hot cup of tea, like that's exactly what you should be doing. And like your body will thank you and your mind will thank you, and you'll be less irritable because you're like, okay, I'm taking care of me at the time I'm supposed to be taking care of me.
It's really interesting because like you're saying it's a great time to reflect, and it's exactly when we get the most emotional.
Yeah.
It's like everything is intertwined, and even a few days leading up to it, it's like we're already feeling it. Might as well like lean into it.
100%.
Right? Because it's all connected.
And like I also think it takes a very strong man to like hold that space for a woman, you know, and realize like this is who we are. Like this is literally a natural process of us, and like we're not being moody and we're not being like annoying, like we're genuinely just following our rhythm. So then imagine like the sky is dark, there is no light in the sky. Your period finishes and the energy starts to increase, and like simultaneously the moon in the sky is starting to come back, right? You see that little sliver of the moon, and now you're in your follicular phase, and your follicular phase is when the energy starts to rise. You can eat more like leafy greens, and when you're on your period, it's good to eat like nourishing foods, like really like hearty root vegetables, like soup, like things that are gonna like be yummy and warm, things that like would grow in the winter time. And then once the energy levels start to rise, it's a good time to like do HIIT workouts and to like go to the gym, lift weights, be more social. Like if you're dating, like now's a good time to go on dates. And then after your follicular phase, which lasts about, I want to say like 10 days, right? Like day 0 is your period, 7 days. After that, then your follicular phase starts. After your follicular phase and the light and the energy of the moon is rising, we hit peak ovulation, which is when the moon is full. So now we're about day like 15 to 17. And now is like when you're going to feel your best and your hottest.
Is it literally 2 days?
It's a 4-day window.
There's like always 2 days a month, and I'm like, I'm the hottest person on planet Earth in those 2 days. And then on the third day, I'm like, I'm back to who I really am.
No,
But,
it's
like,
true.
yeah,
Like
that's so interesting.
Like we're always that hot. Like
Of
we
course.
just like feel inside like we're not, because like there's so many hormones fluctuating. But yes, it's like a 2 to 4 day window. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm not trained to speak on this, but you can only get pregnant when you're ovulating. And there's a huge misconception that like you can get pregnant all the time, but it's like, no, like you're actually not releasing eggs, so you can't. So by tracking your cycle too,
People probably just don't track it and then they get pregnant, like, oh, I got pregnant, not really knowing maybe that you were in your peak ovulation phase.
Yes, you're in peak ovulation, and like that's when it happens. So of course that's when you're most energized, because you're like, from a biological point of view, like we're meant to reproduce. So of course, like you're going to feel your most confident and your most outgoing, because you're meant to be like out and socializing with men and like reproducing, right? Which is actually like, if you're not trying to get pregnant, like the wrong thing to do. But it's a good time to like go on dates and like to go dancing with your friends. Like it's gonna feel natural. So that lasts about 4 days, and then it starts to decline, and we go into our luteal phase, which is what we call PMS, premenstrual phase.
Depression.
Yeah,
Great, because I'm supposed to get my period right around my wedding, so I'll be in this phase right before.
You won't even notice.
I'm like, ah.
Do you eat red meat?
Yeah.
Eat red meat, like that's gonna like balance your energy levels.
Oh, you're gonna have the best red meat available.
I'm gonna be like, meat every single day.
Yeah, that's perfect. And like you probably won't even really feel it that much, like because we're just lacking in like what throws us off and makes us like super hormonal and crazy is when our hormones are out of balance, which is like normal and natural. Like we all get it and have it, but in a perfect world, like that doesn't happen, and we do just feel a little bit more sensitive and all those things. But you're gonna be on your wedding day like living your best life.
Yeah, it's just the week before. It's like lots of emotions, but I think I think it just
also
it is what it is. It comes with the time. It comes with the wedding. It's gonna be the phase. It's all good.
100%. And I actually think there's something really beautiful about that, because you are literally shedding. Right? Like you're literally shedding. So then, well, I'll like tie it in when we get back to your period, but in your luteal phase, your energy levels start to decline, right? So ovulation is peak full moon. What happens after the full moon? The light starts to go inward again. And so do you. So you start to go inward, and you might want to like not do your HIIT workout. You might want to like do some Pilates, or like eat some like, I don't know, like grounding foods like meat and cheeses and things that are like actually going to, fasting is actually what you're not supposed to fast when you're about to get your period.
She fasts every single day of her life.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you find that you crave a little bit more food around that phase? Or not? Now you're used to
attention.
I mean, I feel like I do maybe get hungrier. Like let's say like I'm on my period, you guys. So like I'm thinking about last week to now. Like maybe I do want to like snack more.
Yeah.
Or I feel like maybe not completely full after eating like a full meal.
Yeah.
So sure, maybe I do.
Yeah.
And back to like the working out. I think like maybe intuitively, although it's nice to pay attention to it, it's like 1 week, like literally last week I was like, I did Pilates and yoga the whole week. And the week before I was like sweat for 4 days.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like funny to notice. And I've heard people who actually do work out.
Yeah.
Based on their schedule.
That is I 100% do that.
Yeah.
And like we do it intuitively
I
too.
think
like
we do,
you were
because
just
you're like,
saying.
do I really feel like doing stuff before? I don't. I want to do Pilates instead. Or I want to walk instead. It's sort of like what you feel.
Yeah. And that's listening to your body. Yeah. And that's like the feminine. It's literally that. Like, and another thing about your luteal phase is there's such stigma around it, around like, oh, she's PMSing, like she's like more sensitive or like bitchy or like all these things. And it's like, no, we're actually more tapped into our needs. And like the things that all month we ignore become amplified right when we're about to bleed, and we seem like we're going crazy, but it's just a signal to like pay attention to that aspect of your life. Like your body is like crying out to you, like, listen to me, like I have something to tell you. And we suppress it and we tell ourselves that like we're just like crazy. Yeah. And it's so, that's just what society has, like the direction it's leaned in, and we've gone so far from how we used to be, like in the olden days when like we were hunters and gatherers, and like women would literally gather in these tents. Have you heard of the red hut tent?
No.
So that was one of the things that inspired NOSOTRAS as well. But back in the old days, the women's cycles would sync to one another, and they would leave the village and they would go into a tent where they could be by themselves and bleed. And their intuition was heightened at this time. And they were literally like the politicians of the village. They would go into these tents and they would discuss the matters of the village. And they would say, perhaps that person is mentally unwell. Let's give him extra love, or her, or this person has been stealing and cheating and they need help, and they need to like, it was literally like the time when like their intuition would guide them on like how to best protect the livelihood of the village.
Not all of that true today, but they're like, oh, when you hang out with like your friends, like your cycles sync up.
Yeah.
How does that work?
I mean, I have no idea. Like I have literally no idea, but like it happens all the time to me. And it also like my cycle will fluctuate. Now I have it pretty regular, but for a while it was like I would bleed on the new moon and then I'd bleed on the full moon. And that was also like an indicator of like my energy and like where I was at in my life. But after the luteal phase finishes, you move into menstrual phase and you release. So all of this culmination is like literally just the time that's preparing you to release the month. And the same way, like with every moon cycle, we learn something new. Like with every bleed, we learn something new. And it's kind of beautiful that you're going to be on your period on your wedding day, because you're going to be releasing and you're literally going to be married, going into the newest chapter of your life, like completely clear of everything from before.
Like emotionally, so cool. Spiritually, physically.
Yeah. All everything. The things. Yeah. It's so beautiful. So yeah, that's the 4 phases of the moon. And I think by like tapping into that, that is like fast track to how to connect deeper with your femininity.
Well, this also tied into my other question of like, what is the significance of the lunar cycles to like Nosotras and hosting these separate clubs?
Yeah, great question. Because I always forget to mention that. Like every time it's like a core pillar of the business, but I forget. Really, I just wanted women to realize that we are connected to the moon. And I do the dinners on the new moon, like mostly because the full moon, the energy is like supercharged and things always go wrong, things break. Like it's always madness to host a full moon dinner. I much prefer to host a new moon dinner. It happens like clockwork every single time.
Oh my God.
And so it's just that extra connection and that realization that we're not just alone here on earth. Like we're part of this rhythm of life. And like the women that come back time and time again, it's like this time to nourish ourselves. It's like a celebration every month. And it's such a beautiful space to just be around flowers and home cooked food and china and vases and all the beautiful pleasures of life, and to just be in that with the moon, with your friends. Like it's just that. Yeah.
I love that.
So why do you think people keep coming back?
I don't know. And well, I
do you think it's because it really is a moment of self-care and people are lacking that in their day-to-day, so they look forward to it and they just can't wait to go back every month? Because it's so hard. I don't want to say hard, but it's definitely not easy to create a community that is consistent. Consistently there for each other. It's been a year.
And you also like, I know this doesn't mean anything, but like it does. Like you have over 1,000 followers on your Instagram page, which is a lot, especially for a business. Like that's amazing to like have that many people want to see your content and like your brand and your mission, you know?
Absolutely. It's such a labor of love, truthfully, and it's such an expression of who I am as well. The reason I started throwing these dinner parties and these women's circles was because I just wanted women to feel what I felt when I took care of me, and how it felt to just like care a little bit more about the details and dress up and show your best self to the world around you. I think people coming back has really been one, I think, and I should ask them because I truly like don't even
shoot it for your 1 year mark.
I know.
Yeah. Like an exercise.
I think that it's being in company with other women. I always create a wait list and then I hand curate the people at the dinners. The first launch dinner, I just was like, I'm gonna invite my girls who I know and love and are just like real incredible people. I think that's also hard to find. Like there's so many of us and like all women are amazing and beautiful and like all men are too. Like we're humans. We're like on this great path of life. But like, you know, my mom would always say when I was younger, like you are who you surround yourself with. And I've been so lucky to meet so many women that are just exceptional women. And every time the table is filled with exceptional women, like women that are creative, in tune with themselves, have launched their own businesses, or like are hustlers in their business and are proud of what they're doing, like truly just well-rounded women. And there's nothing like being at a table full of like great people. And I think that's truly it. The food is a great aspect. Like they love to eat what's in season. Like restaurants don't really do that.
No.
Like Le Jardinier does it in Design District, I know, but like not so much. Like, you know that everything you're getting plated with is from a farm nearby, which is so cool. And then I really love to create an immersive experience. Every month we have a theme, so it's also never boring.
Right.
Like I never want my life to be boring, so I never want Nosotras to be boring.
Yeah.
We always move through different containers of thought. We moved through sexuality, where we like dug deep on like those types of questions. We, for Dia de los Muertos, had like a witchy party, like where we tapped into our higher selves, like our inner witch. Like that was really cool. Now this theme is style is the answer, and I love that because it's like not about labels and brands and all those things. Like we live in Miami, we love those things, but it's like, no, like how do you express yourself through your clothing, and how do you express yourself through like how you decorate your home, or like the art you hang on your walls? Because at the end of the day, that's so feminine to like love the things, and not in a materialistic way, but in a way of like truly rejoicing in all of the physical pleasures that life has to offer. So we're having a stylist come in, and we're having
that's really fun.
fashion brands that are all local come, and these women are going to talk about what style means to them, and it's just a rich experience. And I think that's why women come back for the community, like to meet new people. People make so many new friends every time. Like it's great. Like people, because there's never alcohol. I want it to be like just like it's you and you. Like
That's
there's
so
no getting
interesting.
away
I didn't
with
know
a
that,
glass
but I
of
love
wine.
that.
Yeah, and I've thought about it a million times to
But you
do
know what?
alcohol.
It's like
but
so great for people to become comfortable with themselves
Exactly.
and with others in a social
Yeah.
setting without needing to get a little tipsy or drunk.
100%. So
And if you like make friends there, you can go grab a drink another day with them or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So many times they like go and they leave and they get drinks after. I'm like,
Yeah.
great.
Also,
like,
if you can make friends, so it
Sober.
sounds like it's so hard, sober, but like if you can and you're comfortable with it, like harder, right,
Yeah.
quote unquote, and if you can do that, like then they must be like real people that you made a real connection with. How many people
Exactly.
did you meet when you're drunk and after you're like, oh,
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I mean? Like it was just like fun, sure, but pretty meaningless because
Yeah.
it was just like a fun night out.
100%.
You know, I actually love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
me
just
too.
you and you. Like it's just like raw, authentic you, and there's no getting away. Like
And people are
you-
genuinely going to like
Yes.
connect because
Mhm.
there's nothing else you can't drink.
And we always have like fun drinks too. Like we have adaptogen mocktails. Like the chef
love that.
always puts together really incredible things. She's so talented. Like she'll put botanicals from Anima Mundi, who's like this herbalist in Costa Rica. Like
Wow.
we've partnered
love
with
that.
Cane Euphorics, which was really fun. We've partnered with like other adaptogen brews and non-alcoholic Aperol spritz. Like, so we always do something really fun. And then at the end of every meal, there's a tea that's hand brewed by Allison as well, the chef.
Oh, I love that.
And then like we will put like blue lotus in it, which is like an Egyptian like medicinal herb that like opens your third eye chakra, you know? So it's like you're not leaving there like not on a buzz, you know?
Yeah. So how do you come up with all the concepts and like I know this is your full on business, but
Yeah.
how do you come up with the concepts and then execute? I mean, it's all you.
Yeah, it's just me. Well, I have like so many ideas.
How do
Like
you
it
tap
feels
into that
so
creativity.
at this point, like I think it's always been like very readily accessible to me. And I think how do I tap into it is by like realizing that it's there and like giving myself credit. Like you're a creative human. Like you have this accessible and available to you, and then it just comes. Like I spend so much time reading and learning and wanting to expand my mind. For example, like I'm already planning for March and it's Pisces season.
Right.
So I do base it off of where the sun is too, and I gain inspiration from that. The theme is like very Piscean, like it's like dazed. I wanted to say like dazed and confused, but like dazed and alive. Like we're gonna do
love
like
that.
a really cool breathwork like dance party, and I'm not sure what the dinner theme will be yet for February. It's Valentine's Day month around that time, so we're gonna be tapping into like our own inner muse. Like instead of
love
like
that.
outsourcing our creativity,
course.
like you are the muse. Like the muse is in you. And we're gonna do a self-portrait painting class. So
Oh my god, this is
it
so
very
fun.
much like
Cool.
weaves in. I have amazing people reaching out constantly for collaborations. I've learned that like one collab a month is like the most I can do.
But you also have one event a month, so then you
Exactly.
can really focus on
Yeah.
that
That's
night
amazing.
collaboration. I think that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Well,
So just
I want to ask you, and I'm gonna tailor this to me because I can right now because I'm an Aquarius. But I want to hear about how like astrology and cosmic energy impacts you in your personal life and nosotras. So for example, for February for this dinner, like what is the Aquarian energy, and like can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Aquarius energy is very dreamy. I'd say like Aquarius is one of the most enlightened of the zodiac signs. I haven't planned the theme yet for the dinner, so I can't say yet about that. We're definitely basing it more around like the self-love of Valentine's Day, but Aquarius energy is like Jedi energy. Like you are out there
Jedi.
like I'd say it's also like slightly like detached from reality.
Yeah, my
Which isn't
astrologist
a bad-
says
You're
I
an
wear
alien.
no. My astrologer says I wear the rose-colored lenses.
But that's great. Like I love that.
She's like, you're in a movie wearing the rose-colored lenses, and sometimes you really need to take them off. I'm like, okay.
no, like leave them on. Like please. Like I'm a huge optimist. Like I'm like we'll go like the world will be collapsing around me before I realize that like things are going to shit.
I think that's great.
Literally. Yeah, so that's Aquarius energy. It's the collective, it's the humanitarian, it's the visionary. I love Aquarius energy. My midheaven is in Aquarius,
I
which
love
is
that.
my career and where I'm headed, which is so interesting because Nosotras was born on the Aquarius new moon, which means the sun is in Aquarius and the moon is in Aquarius.
I love
Which is
that.
crazy.
That
That's
makes
like-
so much
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, so that's
Wow.
it's her birthday on Tuesday.
Oh, I love that. So, but what do you think the role astrology plays like within Nosotras?
Mhm.
I don't know. And like, do you talk to the girls about it when they're there? Like, are they enlightened upon
100%.
it? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm studying to become an astrologer right now.
So cool.
I just finished the first course, but I definitely feel comfortable enough to read the charts of my friends and my family, and very soon I'll be doing it professionally. I'll give the women readings every full moon based on what sign or what house the moon is illuminating for them. So every time the moon is full, it's transiting a specific part of your chart. So I like to make them aware of it just because I think it's great if there's any like confusion or questions or things you're trying to navigate through life. There's always like a cosmic synergy, and that's a core part of Nosotras. Like it's the opulence of a dinner party, but it's also the mysticism of the moon and the stars. And it's so crucial for that to be like a core offering and part of Nosotras. Right now, the style is the answer theme. We're talking about Venus a lot because Venus is the
Right.
planet of pleasure and love. So that's one of the main things we're talking about, and like tapping into your Venus sign. Do you guys know your Venus sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's yours?
I'm Sag. Venus and Sag.
Interesting. Mine's Virgo.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Really?
My fifth house is in Virgo, so fifth house is the house of creativity, pleasure.
Virgo.
So I feel you with that Virgo Venusian
Yours is
energy.
in what again?
Pisces.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
Just a
little
lover girl.
Yeah.
the best place that the Venus sign can be in.
Wow.
Really?
Why?
Why?
Each planet is exalted in a specific sign, and exalted means like supercharged, like it has its full expression. And Pisces are the dreamers, they're the artists.
Yeah.
And Venus is very much connected to art and creativity, so like that creative expression is like very synergistic and alive and easy within you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's good for me because my Aquarius can be like really cold and with like, especially in relationships. So it's good. And I have
Do you know what
Cancer
house it's
rising.
in?
Can tell you right
And do you
now.
know what house your Venus is in?
No.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Venus in Virgo. Virgo is in the details.
Yeah, totally.
Virgo is like the librarian, the analyst, like, so I'm sure you find a lot of pleasure in like keeping things organized.
Oh my God.
And
Music's in my ears.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is great. And like your creativity can pour out most when you're in that space where everything is in
I
its
have
place.
to be.
Yeah.
I cannot function if my surroundings are not organized.
Yeah, same.
Like I don't feel good.
Yeah.
So how can I think? How can I be creative? How can I do anything?
Do you have other Virgo placements? No, you're
I
not.
don't, not like big
Not big
things that
yeah.
My
That I would
Venus
know.
is in my 9th house.
Okay, that's like long distance travel, higher learning. Yeah.
And my boyfriend's is in Virgo in his 12th house.
Oh wow.
Oh, the
In his
12th house?
12th house.
Yeah.
So 12th house is your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
It's
I don't have a 12th house. Is that normal?
well, you do, you just don't have any planets in it.
Oh, okay.
No, everyone has the 12 houses.
Oh, well, I don't have any planets.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have any planets. So when you don't have planets in a sign, it's actually just like very liberating. Like you're like not an aspect of your life that you're going to be hyper fixated on, and not an aspect of your life that's going to cause you a lot of like turmoil. Like
Right.
I have Saturn in my 12th house, which is like the disciplinary. Saturn is like the father. It's like the harsh reality that like comes down on you. And the 12th house is your subconscious mind. So like I need to be in hypnotherapy. Like I am always I've been doing hypnotherapy consistently for 2 years.
Wow.
And it's the only thing that like really works for me.
Wow.
For what?
To just like not be a mess. To like not be falling apart at the seams.
To be like grounded.
Yeah, to be like not even just grounded, like to be like healthy in my mind.
Interesting.
Because there's a lot like in my subconscious mind. And,
Right.
Yeah.
What's your vision for nosotros in the next 5 years?
Wow. You want to hear it?
Of
There's
course.
big visions.
Whatever you want to share with us.
Absolutely. So my dream for Nosotras is to have containers simultaneously happening in major cities.
I love that.
So the first dinner outside of Miami will be in New York.
That's such a good place.
Yeah, it's just
Are you
like
planning that already?
It's in the works.
Is Paolo helping
have-
you?
Pardon?
Is Paolo helping you?
He's not.
He's not.
Paolo's like full-time employed. Like that boy is busy.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of amazing girlfriends, which I'm sure would be
Yeah.
happy to attend and expand the community up there. But that's the vision, to have different satellite cities: New York, London, Milan, maybe Mexico City. I don't have many people in Los Angeles, so although it would really thrive there, I'm sure.
I was going to say
Yeah.
LA, even San Francisco, I feel like it would do well.
I do have some girls in San Fran. So it's basically like wherever I already have like pockets of communities. Like I lived in London for a while. I lived in Italy. I have friends in Mexico City. So just going and starting to host dinners around. And then in the future, hosting retreats as well.
Sign me up.
Yeah, like the first one will be in the Hamptons, which I'm really excited about.
Like, sign me
I
up.
know. It's just, I want the
Do
retreats
people need to pay to go to this? I mean, I'm sure.
to the retreats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So retreats are like a huge,
Like,
huge
is it on
lift.
you, Ale?
Yeah, literally,
Okay, okay.
literally.
No, of course, yeah.
I can invite you to a dinner. That'll be a lower lift, but the retreats, I mean, I just can't do anything half-assed. Like it needs to be the way I would want to take a vacation, and like
Right.
I'm a little bit of a princess, so it's like I want you guys to feel like princesses as
I
well.
love that.
So
Right.
like renting a beautiful house with a garden, being able to go to wineries. I'll
Gorgeous.
break the no alcohol rule for the retreat because like I have friends that have amazing wineries
Right.
in the North Fork. So having nature walks in like Shelter Island. So that very immersive retreat where it's not really a yoga retreat. It's more of like a lifestyle retreat.
Right.
Like if you would go to the Hamptons, like we're not going to go to like the clubs in Montauk. Like it's not that energy, but
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like more like countryside core.
Yeah.
Love.
Italy is another big goal for me, to host a retreat there in Tuscany.
That'd be amazing.
And then down the line, kind of already getting my wheels turning, but I would love to start doing tableware for Nosotras. So
I would
like
love that.
beautiful linens and ceramic plates and vases, and just creating this whole like immersive lifestyle where women can like really feel super feminine and inspired and
I
creative.
love that.
You would kill that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I love all
well,
this.
we've been chatting for so long, but we have some quick fire questions for you.
Let's do it.
So these are going to be fun. So, what is your favorite yoga pose and why?
My favorite yoga pose, probably like Shavasana.
Yeah, literally.
Because I can just like go somewhere else, like, and yeah, Shavasana.
Love. what is your go-to self-care ritual?
Right now, affirmations.
Love
And
that.
you mentioned your favorite one earlier. Can you recommend a book mantra or practice that inspires you? I mean, that was like this whole episode, but
Maybe like a specific.
I would like a specific book, honestly.
I'll just tell you what I'm reading right now. I'm reading The Guide to Becoming Alive.
Okay.
Do you guys know Flamingo Estate?
Yeah.
So it's their book. And like, I swear
my God,
this book is
cool.
like spiritual in and of itself, but it's like how to be more in the pleasure of life.
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
And it's a coffee table book with really
Oh my
big
God.
text. And every word, like every page has words on it in paragraphs, but it's like so yummy and digestible and like the perfect before bed
Oh,
read.
that's so nice.
I love that. And their tomato candle.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so delicious. Okay.
It's like all about that.
How can listeners connect with you and learn more about Nosotras?
So nosotras_world is our Instagram. My personal Instagram is Ale Cruz. So it's Ale with 3 E's. ALEEE Cruz CRUZ.
And then what final message would you like to share about embracing creativity, connection, and cosmic alignment?
I would say do more of what you love and like really pause while you do it. Really take the time to do the things you love and do more of it.
Well, we have one final question, which is how we always end every single episode.
Uh-huh.
So we aim to give our listeners the pink print to personal growth and success through a homework assignment,
Okay.
which is an actionable step or tool that they can implement into their lives. So what
I
would be
love
your homework assignment to our listeners this week?
I would love if everybody just did some stream of consciousness writing. I'm also a writer. I think it's so important to just like dump, like brain dump.
I've
Like,
been doing that lately and it's been really good.
it's so incredible, like everything that just comes out and like the creativity within it. But yeah, just like prose, poetry, brain dump, stream of consciousness, like you'll be surprised at what comes out.
Wow.
I love that.
I love that. Ale, thank
Ale,
you
thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you.
This was
Oh my
such a
God.
pleasure.
I feel like I just like yapped. Like
Just went by
yapped
so
your
fast. I love
ears
she's
off.
so relaxing.
So relaxing.
I was just like
Oh my
listening to
God.
a lot of us like, yes. Just keep telling us.
Thank you, Ale.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.